Hey, Matt Mathersum here with Matt Mathersum. Thank you so much for joining us and being a part of the program today. Well, we appreciate it. Well, let's see what we're working with today. There's no telling. Well, lo and behold, we are asked to find xy out of x plus y equals 6 and x cubed plus y cubed equals 198. And we're supposed to find xy. How the heck are we supposed to do that? That's my Fargo reference, by the way. All right, how the heck are we supposed to do that? Great question. When we have a binomial and we square it or even cube it, you know that xy in the middle? Well, let me just go ahead and write that out, and I'll show you exactly how we get that. So it's just simply our x plus our y, and then when that is squared, what does that do? Well, if we expand that out, we've got xy plus 2 times xy plus y squared. Right here, that xy, that's what we're being tasked or asked to find today. All right, now I've showed you how to expand that out if in case we needed a refresher. How are we going to work with this mess? Well, since this is being cubed here, let's go ahead and just cube this first equation, the x plus the y. So I'm going to do with this the same thing over here, but I'm going to take the cube, all right? So here we go. It's just going to simply be x plus y cubed. Now, when I take the cube, here goes. We've got x to the third plus 3x squared plus y plus 3xy squared plus y cubed. Try to say that all in one breath. Okay, that's the same thing as this. This is just cubed and that is squared. That is our expanded version of this binomial being raised to the third power. Okay. Well, that's essentially taking care of the left-hand side for the expansion and being the cubed part, but I have to do it to the RHS as well, right? The 6. Well, we know that 6 cubed is what? 216. So what we're going to do to make this easy is I'm just going to plug in 216 here. I'm going to take out the parentheses here. And now we have 216 is equal to that mess. All right, fine. Well, what can we start to do from this point? Can we start to whittle away at it? We can, because look at, we've got x to the third and we've got y to the third. Well, over here, I've got x to the third plus y to the third. What does that do? That gives me a value of 198. So can I strip out these two and plug in 198 and there stay? Absolutely, I can. So let's just go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to bring down the 216. And now we're going to take the 198 here, and this term are sayonara. But we are left with plus 3x squared y plus 3x y squared, aren't we? We are. Okay, well, before we get to this mess, let's deal with this 198, because you're probably thinking the same thing that I am. Hopefully you are. Let's combine these like terms, 198 and 216. If I put the 198 over here on the left-hand side, what does that do? Yep, that gives me a value of 18, because 216 minus 198 is 18. Okay, moving right along. Well, what can we do here? Is there anything that we can cross out or distribute or just obliterate? Well, the x is being squared over here and the y is being squared over here. So that's not really working out too well. But there is one common factor out of all that mess, and that's simply the 3xy. I've got the 3xy here and I've got the 3xy here. So I'm going to factor that out right now, and I just factor that out. Well, what are we left with now inside the parentheses? Well, I got rid of one x because that x is here, so that just leaves me an x. And I know that this is being added, so what am I left with over here on the right-hand side? No, I'm just left with a y because I've got the y here, so we've got one y left. All right, okay. Well, hold on just a second. If you look here in the parentheses, it says x plus y. Well, I've got x plus y up here equals, well, hold on. Let's take out the x plus y real quick. And let's substitute in our value of 6. And what do? Well, I distribute the 6 to the 3 and the x and the y, leaving us on the right-hand side 18xy. And I'm just bringing down the 18 on the left-hand side. Everybody get that? I just distributed the 6 to the 3xy. That gives us 18xy. What are we trying to solve? Oh yeah, we're trying to find xy. Remember at the beginning of this whole fiasco? So how do we find xy, we have to isolate for xy. How do we do that? Inverse operations. You knew you were going to say that, or you knew I was going to say it. Somebody had to say it, so it's been said. Let's divide both sides by the 18, and that is going to give us, well, that's not going to work. Even though we're almost at the end of the show, I cannot leave it like that. That is just way too messy. Okay, 18 divided by 18, and we've got 18 divided by, or 18xy being divided by 18. What can happen here? Well, what can happen here is 18 divided by 18 gives us 1, and then we just cross out the 18s over here because we are isolating for the xy. And that, my friends, is the ball game. We've got 1 equals xy, or xy equals 1. Your preference, your day, and that's all the time we have for here on Math Madness. I am Matt Mathersum. I'll see you soon.